President Trump capping off his first full month in office with what's being billed as a working weekend at Mar-a-Lago and a campaign-style rally tomorrow. I want to bring in syndicated talk radio host John Fredericks and Joe Madison, the host of Sirius XM. By the way, this is one of my favorite segments on the show.
What did he?
I said this is one of my favorite segments on the show. Don't tell anybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Because you guys you guys are out there talking to the people, and so it's good to get you have your ear to the ground. Joe, you first. President Trump has now been in the White House for a month, quite a tumultuous month. What are your viewers saying or listeners saying about the administration so far?
Yeah, it seems like 3 years. Well, I'm being somewhat facetious, but I can tell you this morning, we talked about the fact that he was absolutely wrong about Elijah Cummings, trying to avoid him. Two, I played the tape of the interview I did with Cedric Richmond, the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, who, by the way, had requested a meeting and the Trump people didn't get back with them. Number two, I had a caller who called in and said, who talks about being the least racist? You know, if I asked any of you right now, are you or are you not a racist? I don't think any one of you would say, I'm the least racist. You either are or you aren't, and you don't judge racism by degrees. And that's pretty much what was going on. Look, this has been a terrible week for the Trump people. And you had Monday, I think it was Labor Secretary withdrawal, Flynn on Tuesday. Wednesday was the whole campaign staffer, Russia fiasco. Then Thursday, that off-the-hinge news conference that he had.
Which John loved, I'm sure.
Well, whatever, and the reality, that's what my listeners are talking about.
Right.
But to be quite candid, and don't let me leave out asking a reporter, a 20-year veteran, April Ryan,
to set up a meeting.
To set up a meeting. First of all, she doesn't work for him.
Okay. Well,
and finally, why didn't you ask Omarosa?
All right.
She's the one who works for him.
That was some shade there, Joe. All right, let's play the clip.
When you say the inner cities, are you gonna include the CBC, Mr. President, in your conversations with your urban agenda, your inner city agenda, as well as?
Am I going to include?
Are you going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional
Well,
Hispanic
I would.
Caucus,
I tell you what. Do you want to set up the meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of
I'm
yours?
Just a reporter.
No, set up the meeting.
I know some of them, but I'm sure.
Let's go set up a meeting. I would love to meet with the Black Caucus. I think it's great.
John, I want to get your. What did you think of that moment, John?
Of that particular moment, I'll address that in a minute. Let me say, overall, the press conference was probably the best press conference in the history of presidential press conferences ever.
It was
for
very
Trump
interesting,
supporters.
I'll give you that.
It was 70 minutes, entertaining. I mean, look, if you're a Trump supporter right now in the first 3.5 weeks, you're absolutely ecstatic, Don, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But it's like Christmas every day. Every day you get up, there's a new present under the tree. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He came there to be the rainmaker, the disruptor, the wave maker. He's taken a sledgehammer to Washington, and he's putting it to the cabal and the elites, the people that have sold
great
out
stuff. There's lots of great
working-class
stuff.
Americans every day.
Now
so
get to the critical part of it, and I don't mean negative when I say critical, but go on.
Well, let me get to that exchange. All right. First of all, everything that happens and we talk about doesn't have to revert back to racism or sexism. Donald Trump is a business executive. He finds solutions. When somebody comes in with a problem, anybody that's ever been a senior executive like me in media, they say, "What's your solution?" That's all he asked.
So that was a solution. So if it is that, let me ask you a question. If it is that, then we should ignore it. Should we ignore the obvious, or should we pretend the obvious is not happening?
I don't know what the obvious is, Don. Don, if he asked me, if I asked a question about, let's say, Virginia, and he said, "Look, you're friends with Governor Terry McAuliffe. He's a Democrat. You have him on your show every week. He's a friend of yours. Can you set a meeting up?"
Because she's
Here's what I would have
black
said.
and it's a
Fine,
congressional
I'd be
black
happy to set the
caucus,
meeting. I send an
she
email.
should know them, and she should be able to set up a meeting with them because she's black and they're black.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with black. She brought
Then
up
what's the connection?
Congressional Black Caucus. He
what
made
if-
the
First of all,
connection
What if
that
she had
Well,
brought
first
up,
of all,
hold on, hold on,
wait a
hold on,
minute.
hold on. Joe, hold on. So what if she
I mean,
had
how is
brought?
this
Hold
racist
on. What if she
or
had brought up
sexist?
a question about Russia? Should she say, well, if you want to set up a meeting with me and Putin, do you know Putin? Do you think he'd have that same reaction?
No.
Well, if she did, and she could perhaps set something up, that's fine. Look, Don, you know what? This holier-than-thou aspect for this media is ridiculous.
Joe, I
you-
think
Don-
you're ignoring
Don,
the
wait a
obvious
second.
and you're not being honest. And if you don't,
he's not.
and if you don't understand that,
You want to turn
then here's
everything.
the answer to
you
Joe's
guys want to
question
turn everything into
the
racism.
answer to Joe's
It's not-
question
no,
is
no.
He was trying to find a solution.
when Joe
No,
said
excuse me.
when Joe asked the question, "Are you racist?" Right?
Yeah,
I
how
think
would
the
you
better,
answer
I think
that?
the better
How would you answer that,
is,
John?
I don't think I'm racist, but there's always room to check, and there's always room to check myself and to try to
No,
figure it out.
I'll ask John
for
straight up.
self-reflection.
Let me ask, as one talk show host to another in the media, are you a racist?
No.
That's all he
Absolutely
had to
not.
say. That's all excuse me, that's exactly what the President of the United States should have said, not I'm the least racist. We do not judge racism by degrees. That's number one. But number two, put race aside. April Ryan is a 20-year veteran of the White House correspondence. You do not ask a journalist to set up a meeting with an equal partner of the United States government. You have your liaisons do that like every single administration has done. You put people on your staff to contact the chairman
Okay.
of the Congressional Black
Let
Caucus
him
and
respond.
set up that meeting the official way.
Okay, go ahead, Joe. And Joe, we don't mean to beat up on you, but I do think that you have a blind spot when it comes to this issue. I think that you're ignoring the obvious, but that's my opinion. Go ahead.
What is the obvious? She's 20-year veteran, and she doesn't. And,
I mean,
and by
John.
the
I mean,
way-
John. I'm sorry. John, go ahead.
Oh, you said Joe.
I'm sorry. I got the names
Look,
wrong.
Don, you know, Don, look, I love you to death, right? You were one of the first people that took the Trump campaign seriously when nobody else did in national media. That's why I come on your show, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for you. But what what President Trump said in that press conference was not racist at all. He simply said, hey, if you can help me solve this problem, let's go solve the problem.
No one is
and in
saying,
today's media
was
environment,
racist. Nobody said it was racist.
Yes. No one is saying
Nobody
it was
said
racist.
it was racist.
We were saying it's
Well, that's
tone
what you
deaf.
guys
It's
opened the
insensitive.
conversation
In
with.
some way, it's in
No,
some
I
way
did
there's
not.
an
I did
ignorant
not
tone.
open this conversation with that. I opened this conversation with the fact that he lied on Elijah Cummings. I opened this conversation with the fact that he had a terrible week, and I delineated everything. What I said was, you do not ask a 20-year senior journalist, a legitimate journalist, to sit up a freaking meeting with the Congressional Black Caucus, or for that matter, with anybody. She does not work for Donald Trump.
Okay, all right, hold on, Joe. Let
Joe,
John respond.
I respect what you're saying. I don't think it was racist, and I'll get back to this.
I didn't say it. Jesus, who said it was racist?
Okay, that's
Who said
fine.
it
I don't
was?
think it was, Don. And every comment that's made is not racism or sexism.
Why you-
I mean, I don't
who
know
said it
where
was?
you guys
Who
get
said
off
it?
on this. Every comment you want
Wait
to
a
turn into
minute.
this.
You're the only one saying it's
Oh,
racist.
you're the only one that has
We're
done this.
saying
No
that
one
the
has
only
said it.
connection
Well, that's where
between
you're going
I
with this,
said
Don.
the only connection
That's where you're going with
between
it. So
April
what are you saying?
Ryan
You're
and but let me get it out
and-
and you can answer. The only connection that is obvious between April Ryan and the Congressional Black Caucus is their skin color. Now, is that racist or not? No one said that. Maybe it was a faux pas on his part in some way. Maybe he is insensitive. Maybe he doesn't know what he doesn't know. Maybe someone around him should tell him. Maybe he doesn't know etiquette or protocol. Maybe he doesn't have a director of black outreach who can make those phone calls. That would be an issue if he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't realize that as a president of the United States, he can pick up the phone and call anyone. So why would he ask a reporter who is a veteran to set up a meeting? It doesn't make sense to most people in the world.
I bet you he wouldn't ask
Well,
Barbara
listen,
Waters
so
to
let
set
him
up
answer,
a meeting
John.
with Putin.
Listen, he was trying to solve the problem. He's a senior level executive that's built a $10 billion company. When people come to him with a problem, his instinct is go solve it. What's your solution? If he came, I'll get back to me. If he came to me and said, hey, John, can you set up a meeting with Governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, who is a friend of yours, who's a Democrat, I want to talk to him about something. I sent 2 emails and set the meeting up. The only thing I would say is I want to be there and get an exclusive on it. I'm a journalist. I mean, I think you guys are blowing this way out of proportion.
No, you are.
I
We
don't
just
think
asked you a
meant anything by it.
question. That's it.
Let's
You
solve
were
the
blowing it out of proportion. You're
Well, I
saying
know
it's
you guys
racist or whatever. But anyway, listen, John,
Well,
I have to go.
no, because-
I got to go.
because-
But I want to say
because-
to this, I
Thank
thank
you.
you for the compliment that you gave me. And I did take, because I take, if someone says they're running for president, I take them seriously. And I see myself, I'm not perfect, as always fair and telling the truth. I think the president has a blind spot when it comes to those issues. I also think that Donald Trump had a very good chance of winning, and that's why I put you on. So people may think otherwise, but I think I'm very fair when it comes to those issues, and I call them like I see them. Thank you all. Have a great week.